This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. President Trump is visiting Pittsburgh this afternoon, just as the first funerals for victims of the Pittsburgh synagogue massacre are being held. Pennsylvania's governor and Pittsburgh's mayor both say they will not join the president when he arrives. Governor Tom Wolf's spokesperson said he based that decision on input from the victims' families, who said they did not want the president to be there on the day their loved ones were being buried. America was once considered a safe haven for refugees from anti-Semitism, but the Pittsburgh massacre raises a sad and shocking question. Is America no longer safe for Jews? Dale Hurd reports on the global plague that's now showing its ugly face in America.
European Jews once fled to America for safety. That may change. The Anti-Defamation League says the number of anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. rose nearly 60% last year alone. And Saturday's synagogue massacre must have American Jews wondering if it could become too dangerous for them in the U.S. It's been said that when Nazi persecution of the Jews began, the Jews who were pessimists went to New York. The Jews who were optimists went to Auschwitz. Meaning that Jews who thought the persecution would stop paid with their lives. One of the lessons of the Holocaust for Jews has been, when persecution begins, don't wait to leave. Alan Hoffman, head of the Jewish Agency, which helps Jews return to Israel, says Jews today are no longer waiting to be attacked. Simply the fear that a nation has become unsafe is enough for them to pick up and leave.
Families say, if this is what the future is going to look like, I don't think that this is what I'd like to see for my children.
Jews who are old enough to have lived through the Holocaust, like Belgian Professor Julian Klenner, are asking, why is this happening to me again?
How comes that the Shoah was not able to quiet down people about Jews? Why didn't that disappear? What have I done to deserve that?
Anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic attacks have been a much bigger problem in Europe because of Muslim immigration and because anti-Semitism has now infected the European left. Budapest Rabbi Shlomo Koves told us Jews remain the world's chief scapegoat for blame.
You know, there's a joke in Hungary. Somebody comes to a village and he says, is there anti-Semitism here? So they say, no, there isn't, but there's a great need for it.
But why has this happened in America? Dr. Michael Rydelnik, professor of Jewish studies at Moody Bible Institute in Chicago, is the son of Holocaust survivors.
Anti-Semitism it's like a contagious disease that's always under the surface, and sometimes it spurs up into epidemic proportions, and then sometimes it recedes.
But Rydelnik says the real source of anti-Semitism is Satan and those who hate God.
They hate the God of Israel, and so therefore they want to hurt him by hurting his people. Those who love the God of Israel need to be the loudest voices in opposing it.
Amen. Dale Hurd joins us now. Could the kind of anti-Semitism we've heard about in Europe really come to America, Dale?
I hope not. I don't think so, although America does have a history of anti-Semitism and, of course, this terrible attack in Pittsburgh. But I travel a lot in Europe and in other parts of the world, and America has an unusual and extraordinary love and acceptance of the Jewish people and of Israel, so that it makes us different. It's as if it's in our DNA to protect Jews and protect Israel. So I hope not, but we do have a problem in our institutions of higher learning.
We're hearing that one of the hotbeds of anti-Semitism in America is on college campuses. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's called the BDS movement, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions. It's only targeted Israel. It's not targeted at Saudi Arabia, at North Korea, at China, only at Israel. And they have a chant, and it goes from the river to the sea. It's talking about wiping out Israel. And people will insist that it's not anti-Semitic, but it is. And in fact, Jewish students on our campuses are being discriminated against. And of course, the concern is these are tomorrow's leaders, and they're being exposed to this as they go to college.
All right, our correspondent Dale Hurd reporting from the newsroom. Thank you, Dale, for your time.
Thank you.
In other news, White House officials have discussed the issue of birthright citizenship at various times over at least the last year. That's according to a person familiar with internal White House debate. President Donald Trump tells Axios on HBO he wants to stop the rights of babies born to non-citizens and immigrants not allowed in the U.S. to be automatic citizens. White House lawyers anticipate working with the Justice Department to put together a legal justification for the action. Administration leaders say probably no decisions will be made until after the midterms. With just 1 week to go before the 2018 midterm elections, a new study finds the media's coverage favors the Democratic Party. A Media Research Center study found that 88% of network coverage of Republicans was negative, while only 53% of coverage for Democrats was negative. The study also found that there was nearly, get this, 10 times more negative statements made about Republicans and President Trump than all of the Democratic candidates combined. That's astounding. And CBN News political analyst John Wage is with us again to go over the latest on the midterm elections. What's going on with this? Why is the coverage so lopsided?
Yeah, you think, Mark, that might have an impact on people's thinking about the elections as we go through these last days of the campaign? I mean, yeah, it's really pretty astounding. We shouldn't be too surprised because we've seen research studies done over the last year and the year before that, showing that the media coverage of President Trump was 90% negative. So the fact that Republicans are getting these high numbers of negative coverage, but really it's pretty astounding when you see one party getting 88% negative coverage and another 53%. I mean, the imbalance there is just incredible. And I think it has that creates an opportunity to see results on Tuesday that could surprise a lot of people because people have given up telling pollsters how they really think, especially among conservatives. They've just had it with the constant drumbeat of not only of Trump as a candidate, but now Trump as president of the United States. In a sense, that kind of slanted coverage is really affecting, is saying to people, we want to negate your vote, or you made a big mistake by voting who you voted for in 2016. You know?
So it sounds to me like what you're saying, that there are more savvy viewers out there that are seeing through this bias. And you said that we could see some surprises on midterm election day.
I
Talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, we've heard about a blue wave for most of the last year. Now some people are saying, well, in the Senate, the blue wave is probably not going to materialize. Well, really, when you look at the map, there are 10 seats, about 10 Democratic seats and 4 Republican seats that really are being disputed now. And some of those 10 Democratic seats, you're getting up in the double digits area, but still on Election Day, those seats could flip. Okay, so you got 10 Democratic seats and 4 Republican seats in the Senate, and yet they're saying, oh, Democrats could take over the Senate. I don't see that happening. I see Republicans adding to their majority in the U.S. Senate, and the House, while it looks a lot more bleak for the Republicans right now, it's not out of the question that they would keep control of the House. But that's not what you're hearing. You know, what you're hearing over and over again is, Democrats are poised to make big gains and that sort of thing. I'm not sure it's going to happen. And I think one of the things that this negative coverage, this constant negative coverage has done is mobilize people, entrench their desire to go to the polls and vote, whether it's early voting or on Election Day. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. Our media, or I should say our political watchdog, John Wage, thanks so much for your time today and your insights.
Thanks, Mark.
The American Bible Society just released a survey that shows 90% of Americans want elected leaders who exhibit what the Bible calls the fruits of the Spirit: peace, patience, kindness, and so forth. Arthur Satterwhite III with the American Bible Society joins us now with more. Arthur, there's been so much mudslinging in politics these days. Are voters even finding these kinds of virtues among the candidates?
Actually, no. That's one of the things that was most interesting about our research is that they wish that politicians would exude these characteristics, things like peace and kindness and gentleness, like you said, the fruit of the Spirit. Again, we didn't ask them any causation questions and whether or not they thought these politicians were. We actually phrased it more like, do you believe that politicians should exhibit these things? And again, overwhelmingly, people said, yes, this is what we want from our politicians, the people that we elect to office.
Your research also showed that voters would like to elect candidates who read the Bible every day. Tell us about that finding.
Sure. I mean, again, this goes back to, we've been doing this research for going on almost 8 years now. And what we've seen consistently throughout these 8 years is that while there's a large, overwhelming part of the U.S. population that believes that the Bible should have more of an influence on our society. 41% of all Americans specifically believe that the Bible has too little influence on our society, while 82% believe that when you do read the Bible, you tend to be more loving, more hopeful. You exhibit less fear. A lot of the fear, especially, is one of those things that drives us apart, keeps us separate, and we believe that the Bible is a catalytic agent to really bring people together.
If Christians don't see these positive characteristics displayed in one or the other candidate for public office, what should they do? What's your advice?
Well, again, American Bible Society, we don't take a side. We're nonpartisan as much as we are interconfessional, serving the full breadth of the church. But what we would invite people to do is, be prayerful. Our president, as he said in this release just now, talks about, hey, we should be turning to the Bible. We should look to the Bible as a source for life. It, as we believe and as we've seen, has influenced government. It's influenced policy. It's influenced whole societies. So we'd invite people to do the same as they approach the polls right now and in the days ahead, to read the Bible, but also be prayerful. Be prayerful, seek God, because we believe, again, God's still speaking today.
Oh, most definitely he is. All right. Well, Dr. Arthur Satterwhite III with the American Bible Society, thanks for being with us today.
No, my pleasure. You have a good one.
You too. CBN News will have special coverage on election night from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time on November 6th on the CBN News Channel. Make sure you tune in. Still ahead, fall allergy season is in full swing. We'll show you natural ways to fight them. Fall allergy season is in swing and drug companies want to help to the tune of $15 billion a year. But many allergy sufferers are tired of that expense and the side effects of these drugs. As Lori Johnson reports, they want a more natural alternative.
If you sneeze a lot, feel stuffed up, and have itchy eyes, you're probably allergic to something. Usually you reach for an antihistamine, but according to Dr. Suzanne Bennett, allergy drugs can create a whole new set of problems.
If you take an antihistamine, you're going to get really tired. If you're a child, actually, it can be the opposite. You get really hyper. Can't sleep. I mean, there's so many different side effects.
Like raising your blood pressure or causing urinary problems. That's why for 25 years, Dr. Bennett's helped her allergy patients the natural way with treatments like vitamin C, quercetin, and pine bark extract, which have no side effects. She also recommends trying to keep allergens out of your body. We're constantly bombarded with things we might be allergic to, from things in our diet to what we breathe. But the more of these allergens we can get out of our lives, the better equipped we'll be to handle the ones we can't. In her new book, The 7-Day Allergy Makeover, Dr. Bennett explains how to figure out your allergies and reduce your overall toxic load.
That's easy stuff. It really is. You just got to do it one by one. It's much easier than you think.
For example, many patients are surprised to find what they thought was a pollen allergy turned out to be an allergy to something else.
And I always look at nutrition as our number one way to get rid of allergies. And you're going to say, well, I've got nasal allergy, so what does having something to eat have anything to do with my nose? Some people don't realize that they might be eating, let's say, a peanut butter sandwich, and then they start getting a runny nose, right? Or a little tickle in their throat and start to have that postnasal drip. Well, they don't realize it's from the peanut butter and jelly.
There are 6 main food allergies. Dr. Bennett instructs patients to give them up one at a time for 2 weeks and see if they feel better. They start with dairy, then gluten, sugar, peanuts, eggs, and mold. Food molds are fungi like blue cheese, mushrooms, and yeast. Also, many bagged foods can contain mold.
Also, dried fruits can be very fungally. Granolas that are in packaged items, chips, as well as packaged potato chips, corn chips, tortilla chips, anything that comes in a bag, wrapper, because mold can start growing in it. And that could be a big problem.
Sometimes we see mold on produce, but often mold is too small to see. Get rid of it by mixing water and vitamin C powder, then soaking your produce in the mixture for 10 minutes and drying it.
After you deal with the allergens in your diet, focus on the ones in your home.
Some people mistake seasonal allergies for allergies to dust mites, which are microscopic bugs that feed on our dead skin, which is all over our bed, sofa, carpet, even our kids' stuffed animals. A quick fix is washing sheets in hot water each week, putting dust mite covers on pillows and mattresses, while also frequently vacuuming and dusting. Other indoor allergens include bathroom mold and pet dander.
You want to take your pets, your loving animals out of your bed, because that also is a slew of allergenic antigens that will cause allergic reactions and respiratory issues.
While we can't do much about pollen, we can try to keep it out of our homes by closing windows, removing pollen-covered shoes and clothes, and washing the pollen out of our hair. An air purifier can capture what we miss.
Use a HEPA filter with a carbon filtration system. That combination is the best to clean the air inside.
Also, regularly replace your air filters and have your air ducts professionally cleaned once a year.
When you do that, you can get all the mold, dust mites, pollen, anything that collects in the vents, you're going to remove as well.
We all know sneezing and congestion point to allergies, but you may not know allergy symptoms can also include headaches, digestive problems, even anxiety and trouble sleeping.
3-year-old Jackson's allergies caused severe skin irritation.
It was terrible. I mean, he just was in so much discomfort, and Jackson would rub his face so raw that he would be bleeding and infected.
Dr. Bennett figured out the source of Jackson's allergies, and now he's fine.
We don't do dairy for him. We don't do gluten. And we stay away from soy and nuts because they also irritate him. We've also put air filters in our home, which has been really helpful for his seasonal allergies.
So before you medicate allergy symptoms, consider getting to the root of the problem. You might end your allergies altogether or become better equipped to fight the ones that remain. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
The institution of the American farmer isn't doing well. Across the country, the population is aging, facing more stress than ever before, and not enough young people are willing to take on this crucial and challenging career. Heather Sells has more.
If you want to catch a glimpse of what farming's future could look like, Joel Salatin's farm is the place to come.
And wannabe farmers are coming in droves, hoping to change the direction of a tradition that's become known for its failure to attract the next generation.
The overall pool of farming in aggregate, it's continuing to age and get older and older. So I think farming as a vocation needs hospice.
Adding to the urgency, the transfer of land. Given the aging and retirement of current farmers, 40% of the nation's agricultural real estate will likely change hands in the next 2 decades. So why turn to Salatin? In the past 20 years, he's grown a small family farm into a 20-person operation, serving 6,000 households and 50 restaurants. He's also acquired an international reputation. and spread the word on his unique methods through more than a dozen books.
It's prophet that also appreciates the ecology of the situation and the community of the situation.
Salatin talks a lot about healing the land and proves it by farming with no pesticides, fertilizers, or hormones. He integrates his animals and land to create an innovative cycle. Salatin wants to spread the news about his techniques with books, training, and word of mouth.
And so it's all about empowering people to start or do better with their farming enterprise.
Most of those who come to learn are already committed to earth-friendly farming. A sticking point, though, is how to make a living off of it. Salatin's answer is hope, along with practical ideas, like his bandsaw mill. It provides lumber for fencing and barns that he could otherwise not afford, and building in a way that facilitates easy movement, saving time and energy. Young farmers like John Caldwell say Salatin inspires them to pursue farming as a career and not just a hobby.
These guys are like, this is how long it takes us. This is how much you're going to get out of it. This is how you're going to do this to get the most profit out of it. And they're very business oriented, and that's something I'm not used to at all.
It's not just farming. You actually have to plan things and, prepare for your year and know what you're doing and do a lot of research.
I wanted to see an example of a working, diverse, integrated, multi-generational farm. That's what is mentioned in the books. That's the vision that I think people have, and I wanted to really see it for myself and see how it works, and it absolutely does, and it's awesome.
They do browse a little bit.
That's because Salatin includes his son and grandchildren as part of the team. If timing is everything, Salatin believes farming that's clean, green, and profitable gives people a sense of pride, which fits today's political climate. More and more, he sees both liberals and conservatives wanting to take control of their lives and make an impact.
We see a kind of a libertarian undercurrent moving, and certainly, Trump is symptomatic of that. I think that what he represents is the disempowerment and disenfranchisement. What he represents is peasants picking up pitchforks.
Those pitchforks can be seen in the form of homeschooling, alternative medicine, and independent farmers who want to do right by the land.
The farmers that Salatin is training are already making a difference in our food supply and could ultimately change the way our country produces food. Reporting in the Shenandoah Valley, Heather Sells, CBN News.
You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care about most at cbnnews.com. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.